My name is Saka. I'm 42 years old. I'm a father of five children. I have a wife who lives in Täby, Stockholm. I came here as a young baby, 1983. I have a lot of friends here, but I've also sort of lived into two worlds because I also every summer travel to Uganda, have a lot of family there, and also stay there for a few months and stuff like that. And I speak the language, and so I'm pretty rooted in Africa. I'm the CEO and founder of T-Digital, which is a digital consultancy company. I'm also the founder of Gendayo, which I have here on my shirt, which is a startup that I'm building for the African market. So it's going to be like Africa's response to Uber. Ever since I've been a kid, I've been basically breaking things, breaking my toys and trying to figure out how they work. And my parents basically were not very happy with me breaking the toys and trying to assemble them. Sometimes I was able to assemble them, put them back together, and other times I was not able to do that. I've been a builder ever since, or a person who's been curious about how things work and how systems work ever since I was a small child, basically. That goes to what I chose to study. I studied at KTH, a master's degree in computer science. And from there, because you learn how to build things with computers, luckily enough, computers have become more and more important. And I just kept on building small software programs, and now I'm on to building bigger things. Beyond that, I also felt like, I need to build things in the shape of a company. So that's why I have companies that I use also as part of my building blocks. So I'm a creator and a builder. Those are probably two terms that describe me very well, that drives me. The overarching problem that I was unwilling to ignore is to see that my motherland, the continent, Africa, sort of like being left behind. And I felt like I've done so many things that I've been involved in here in Sweden, which has given me an exposure to different things. That sort of ignited me to say, like, I need to take this problem hand on. And especially with Gendayo, it was the problem of transportation, because there's a lot there that is not really working very well, that could be improved with simple solutions, but also more complicated solutions that we have as a product offering from Gendayo. I usually hear that sentiment or that line of thinking from a lot of people, but you're not there, how are you going to do that, And my standard reply is basically, it's on the internet. It's ubiquitous, right? So I mean, I'm blessed enough to do a product that ends up on the internet. So it means there will be some kind of control. I mean, there are other businesses that are like on the ground, like maybe you're building houses and stuff like that. Then it's different, because then you need to have some kind of protection on the ground. So I guess I'm blessed and fortunate enough to be doing a business that in some sense is online, but also in some sense it's not online, because you'll have cars and motorcycles and other vehicles that will be used on the ground, but still, if we're talking about the money, most of it will be transferred online. The way that architecturally that system is going to be built, it's going to be basically adapted to different markets depending on what it is that you need. So we will be developing this thing where you can basically shift different parts depending on different needs, basically. It will be hyper configurable, with lack of a better word. And the other thing that we discovered is that, for example, where I'm from originally, Uganda, we have like 50 plus languages, right? So language is also an important aspect, a part of the product solution that we're going to support, right? The system in itself will be very flexible. So it will support localization very well. I'm creating it as something that is built to last. So that is definitely something that is important, and the idea is not to exploit. And also, if you go on our website, some of our keywords is fair, safe, and smart mobility. So the fair aspect in that is that we also are trying to turn up and down the business model and revenue model for the drivers, because what we've seen is that Uber drivers, for example, they feel very exploited in Europe, that they're underpaid and stuff like that. So we're actually not only innovating on the technological aspect, but also the business model as far as revenues, to make sure that everyone that is involved in our business, basically the drivers, get their fair share of earnings, but also that the customers get a good service. So exploitation is something that is top of mind when it comes to our solution. The protections of exploitation when it comes to data in Africa, unfortunately at this point in time, they're not very protected, don't have GDPR, especially since Africa as a continent is sort of moving into a new space. So that is something up to the politicians in Africa to create laws that will protect them. But even if those laws don't exist, this is something that we at Gendayo, we're modeling our systems based on the European ways of thinking and having those values to not exploit. So we're basically ahead of time, making sure that we meet up to GDPR standards. The backbone of my drive has come from my mother, even to this day. She's the one that has believed a lot in us and tell us anything is possible for you. Even if you're not white, you can still do the same as them. And she's always been putting that in us ever since we were very young. So I would say that is part of my DNA. That has been what has been driving me ever since, basically. I also tell them the same thing, basically that they can do whatever they want and they can achieve the same thing. Even if the color of their skin is not white, they can walk into white rooms. I also tell them, look at me, for example. We live in probably the whitest country in the world, Sweden, right? Blonde hair, blue eyes. But you're still able to thrive and operate as a person who's fairly successful in Sweden. I try to be the living example of that and tell them, you see, daddy can do it, I'm black, I look very African, and I'm operating on high levels here, so it's possible. Even though I'm trying to do something in Africa right now as well, so I try to be a living example to my children of all the things that my mother had taught me, We're living in fantastic times, and I would love to twist it into a tech angle. Obviously, everyone has heard about AI and the things you can do with that right now. But I feel like this is a tremendous opportunity where things have been sort of equalized because everyone is on the same level. There's a lot of shifting going on in the world. So I strongly recommend with urgency that all of us, jump on to using AI as a tool, because it's so easy right now to get ahead, and there's never been a time in history of anyone's life where you have where it's easier to produce things and actually make an impact and a better situation for yourself because of AI. So I encourage everyone to use AI more. One quick ask before we wrap. Gendayo is built for the whole African continent, but right now we are researching in 3 countries. We need data from commuters, from drivers, from people who actually use these services on the ground. If you have friends or family back home, scan the code, send them the link. It only takes 3 minutes. If you believe in our mission, that is how you help us build Gendayo. Thank you.